Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Supernatural Season 6. I have the DVD set right here. Of course, collecting all of them because this is still an amazing show. If you want to watch my reviews of the previous 5 seasons, you just go search for my channel. This review is not going to be as long as my Season 5 review, which is like about 50 minutes. I'm going to shoot for around 20 minutes or so at most, hopefully, because it's it's approaching like at 12:30 in the morning, right? 12:30 a.m. and I gotta be up early for work. But I still wanted to talk about Season 6 of Supernatural, and to be honest, I really liked this season. I haven't disliked any season of Supernatural so far as I've went through it. But the thing is, I've always heard that, even before I got into the show, that like after season 5 the show just goes down the tubes. I've heard like all the seasons after that are just terrible or something like that, or just watch the first 5 and be done with it. Well, I don't know if they're gonna have as good of a conclusion as season 5 sort of did to the initial story. I think season 6 is a pretty damn good follow-up, actually. I'm not going to say it's better than season 5, but honestly, it's probably one of my favorite seasons, I think. It's hard to say what season of Supernatural is my favorite. I'll probably have to do a whole separate video on that sometime when I catch up on all the seasons. But I'd say this would rank probably somewhere within the middle, of the first 6 anyway. I do think it was pretty good. But yeah, of course, this starts with a major, not so much revelation, but it sort of starts off with, of course, we now know that Sam somehow is alive, or he was brought back somehow. We've seen him looking in on Dean and Lisa and Ben and such. And so that's kind of your setup. Of course, with Sam being back now. And I really like the season. And I love the point of Dean actually having a family in this season, with Lisa and Ben. I like that it was them. I like that they weren't like new characters just randomly introduced or something. I like that Dean actually went back to them. So this whole, family dynamic with Dean this season, I thought it made it really different, and of course I like any Dean-centric stuff. So I like to focus on him and how he sort of had to act as a father to Ben, even though he apparently isn't his father, but we get some hints that he might be. I don't know. But so that whole dynamic this season I thought was just great, of course, with Dean dealing with being like out of the field, sort of being not a hunter 24/7 anymore. And he actually spends a whole year with Lisa and Ben, before he gets roped back into any of this. So I thought that was really interesting direction for the character, and very fitting too, to sort of explore that part of it. And then you sort of wrestle with the idea that, can a hunter actually, live a normal life? Can he actually go off and be happy without something following him back home, right? And that's, constant worry or paranoia of Dean's, that something will eventually come for him, and Lisa and Ben will be caught in the crossfire somehow, or caught in the middle. And of course, with the reputation both him and Sam have, the Winchesters, was probably inevitable at some point that could happen. Just with the reputation they have, and the sort of grudges they made with certain supernatural forces. But yeah, I just love the whole family dynamic this season. And, of course I'll talk more about it in a few minutes, the details of the season, but I just want to go over like the general parts of it. And Sam's story this season, I thought was pretty good. We had soulless Sam. That was a big part of the season as well, trying to figure out how to get his soul back, or if Sam actually excuse me if Sam actually wanted it back, because we found out that he was brought back without his soul, some of Sam, but not all of them. And he's just, he's very different, you can just tell by the way he talks sometimes that he's not really as caring, he's not quite as genuine or sensitive as Sam usually is. And he definitely makes some decisions in the season that, of course, shake and make Dean's trust in him sort of be questioned, and justifiably so, because Sam even watches his own brother, get bitten by a vampire or turned into a vampire, which I love that episode, by the way. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. So I thought Jared Padalecki did a good job showing that side of Sam this season. We've kind of seen it before, though, not quite to this season-long story arc extent, but we've seen Sam sort of go into a mode where he's not quite as his usual self. But I still thought it was pretty interesting, and as we slowly discover what or who is more so behind all of that, it gets pretty good, I think. But yeah. So we look at the back of it too, and I definitely have a lot to say about Castiel this season. Of course, with Lucifer and Michael trapped, someone sort of had to take the reins for heaven, and God himself sort of like a touch and go. So Cass is dealing with the repercussions of all that, and he sort of becomes like the sheriff, in the sky and stuff like that. And so as Dean and Sam call on him and they're dealing with everything, he's also waging this sort of civil war type of thing. And this leads him to some pretty, uncast-like or sort of like desperate decisions. Really show how human he kind of is, though, in that he makes mistakes and that he sort of struggles with what he wants to do and stuff like that. So I thought Castiel also had a very good story this season. Misha Collins, he's just a really true talent. He's right up there with the rest of the cast, I think. And, I thought season 4 and 5 did a great job of making him feel like one of the best characters on the show, like making him feel like a part of the whole family. But season 6 just, did that much better with it, just build upon that. And I really, really liked Cass's arc this season. And definitely leaves us with a cliffhanger, going into season 7. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure, as we go along with the episodes. So let me slip out the case here. And let's look at the, I guess I gotta show the inside of the case while I'm at it. Very cool. Of course, you got Sam right there. The disc's looking nice. And of course, you got Dean over there. I just love Supernatural, and it's awesome. But yeah, so let's get a look at it real quick. I even got this whole shelf dedicated to Supernatural right here now. I'll take a picture of what my shelves actually look like in my room, since you can't actually see them. But yeah, of course you got that. And I like that Misha Collins is, definitely considered a part of the main cast. I like that they made Castiel as important of a character as he is. Yeah, like I said, I just really like the season overall. So, of course, I like the setup, as I talked about already, with Exile on Main Street. Episode 2, 2.5 Men. Someone's killing the parents of newborns and abducting infants. Sam seeks Dean's help when he finds a baby whose paternity is called into question. Sam and Dean are back together again, testing their fathering skills, but the question is for how long. I might have to go on the wiki because I don't always remember the details of everything, believe it or not. Not perfect, my memory's not amazing. But yeah. So I'm gonna see this real quick. Okay, yeah. Just trying to jog my memory a little bit, because there's a lot of shit that goes down in Supernatural, so. But yeah, another big thing this season was the return of Samuel, of course, the brother's grandfather. And, I liked that at first, I thought it was a good direction. It's like, okay, if we can't get, Jeffrey Dean Morgan back as, John Winchester, what's our next best option, to provide sort of that, to provide sort of that dynamic for the brothers again, or sort of that fatherly dynamic. Of course, Bobby does that as well, but we'll talk more about Bobby later in the season. But I did like the idea of Samuel. It's late, and I need sleep. But anyway, So I like the initial dynamic that Samuel was providing, with him being back. They played the music too when he first stepped out of the shadows and such. We learned that Sam had actually been back for a while, for almost the entire duration of the year when Dean was spending time with Lisa and Ben. But he just didn't want to interfere on Dean's life. He just wanted to leave him out of it, leave him to what he wanted. And I thought Samuel this season, he was pretty good. I think the actor does a very good job of playing him. Let me just get the actor's name real quick. Yeah, Mitch Pileggi. I think he does a good job. But the way he goes in the season eventually, it's disappointing. Not that it was badly done or anything, but how he turns out to be. He doesn't live up to the Winchester name as much as you initially think, as much as we are initially perceived. As they find out more about what he's trying to do. And then we also find out about these, alphas, these originals of each, type of a monster, really. There's an alpha shapeshifter, there's supposedly an alpha vampire out there, werewolf, things like that. So I thought that was a pretty cool concept throughout the season. I wish they would have shown a little bit more of that. I think they could have done it maybe a wee bit better with, showing us how strong these alphas actually are. Although I did like the alpha vampire we met. I thought he was pretty creepy and he was portrayed pretty well. I just wish we got to see more of him this season before he just sort of... he wasn't killed. I don't think he was killed, but he was just sort of, sent to another place. So I would like a little bit more of a concentration on that. So I did like the start of that in episode 2. And of course, Dean questions, Samuel's motivations, pretty early on, and just how the group, might have actually used these babies as a way to, lure these alphas there, because they're, after him, of course. How long has this video been? 12 minutes. I'm probably going to go 13 more minutes at most, 20-25 minutes in total. But yeah, anyway, episode 3, The Third Man. Sam and Dean call Castiel for help with the case where police officers seem to have been killed by the plagues of Egypt. I really like this one as well. And we meet Balthazar in this episode, I think. And Balthazar was played by Sebastian Rush. I probably just butchered his last name, but he's a very talented actor. I mostly know him as Michael from the originals, the father of Klaus Michelson, and he's very good in that role. So it was quite the treat to see him on here. I think he's, like I said, a very talented actor. And although I didn't find Balthazar as, of course, interesting as Michael on the originals and Vampire Diaries, I still liked Balthazar's role this season. He played a nice foil to Castiel's sort of seriousness. Balthazar sort of had more of a eccentric, sarcastic personality, which I thought the actor did a good job of showing. But yeah, and we also learned a lot about Raphael in this episode as well. But again, it's going to be hard to go through each and every one of these episodes in detail. That'd make way too long of a video, like my Season 5 one. But yeah, Third Man, of course, I liked it. Episode 4, Weekend at Bobby's. After Bobby discovers Crowley has no intentions of returning his soul, the hunter takes matters into his own hands. Let's see. And of course, he also had a... Okay, well, anyway, I'm trying to actually talk right now, and I guess that's a bit of a challenge. But yeah, Weekend at Bobby's, I like this one a lot. This is also directed by Jensen Ackles, Dean himself. So of course I thought it all looked good, with the shots and everything. And I like that this is actually a very Bobby-centric episode. So I thought that was a bit different for the show, but Bobby definitely deserves the focus and concentration. His character definitely warrants it. And I thought this episode did a good job, and sort of a funny job of showing just what Bobby has to go through every day, the shit he has to deal with. Balls. But, just like all the phone calls he gets from, like these random hunters, who are being looked into and such, and he has to act like this FBI agent and different things like that. Just how sort of like tedious that can get for him. It was a pretty funny. And his dealings with Crowley, he, his verbal exchanges with him are always quite a bit of fun. And meanwhile, Sam and Dean are calling me about this case they're working on every so often. And then Dean also tries to call and have like an emotional conversation with him about what he thinks is going on with Sam. And Bobby just sort of saw here, he's just so worn down from the day. Excuse me. But yeah, I really like this episode. It's a very different one. I liked it quite a bit. And episode 5, Live Free or Try Hard. This is a great episode, man. I loved it. You guys know what a big fan of vampires I am, at least when they're done correctly. And so naturally, whenever there's a supernatural episode centered on vampires, I really like it. Ever since season 1, the first episode we had with vampires. And I love some of the stuff we got with Gordon in season 2 and 3 and on and such. Along with, why am I suddenly forgetting the name right now? Just give me a second, guys. Sorry about this. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. Okay, for some reason I can't remember. Okay, I don't want this, Lenore, thank you. Finally seen it, but yeah, Lenore, I always thought she was a pretty interesting character as well, and they do see her again in episode 19. But we'll talk more about that as it goes. But yeah, I really like, sorry about the delay, my mind just goes, down the shitter sometimes. But yeah, anyway, I really liked Live Free or Try Hard. Sam and Dean investigate rash disappearances involving teenage girls, so they soon discover the girls are being lured by a vampire. During the hunt, Dean is turned into a vampire. Samuel tells Dean that he can change him back, but he'll need the blood of the vampire who turned him. So there are 2 reasons why I like this episode so much, or all 3 I should say, just because it's about vampires in general, which I explained, and 2, just the way they sort of, picked on, different types of things like Twilight and such, and how these vampires are luring these teenage girls in by meeting them on like online chat rooms or dating sites, and just sort of luring them in as they do. It's kind of a funny plan, and honestly, it'd probably work on some people in real life too, I think. So that was funny whenever they go after stuff like that. And Dean as a vampire, I thought was very cool. He had him sort of, this way he started acting is very like cold and removed, and I know probably part of it was to be a bit of a mockery of how vampires like stereotypically act and such. But I thought Jensen Ackles did a pretty good job portraying Dean as a vampire, what he was going through and how he actually shows up to Lisa and Ben, sort of like in the shadows and such. And now he's like fighting this hunger throughout. I thought Dean made a great vampire. I would have even thought it would have been pretty interesting if he was a vampire for a few episodes or something, or maybe the season. I know that'd be a bit long, but I think they could make like a whole story off of that if they wanted to, really. When Dean goes into vampire mode and just starts taking them down left and right with that sword or machete type of thing, it's a very, very badass and cool sequence. I really love that. So I really love the episode. And they sort of, when they do cure him, just the makeup and the effects that go behind when he sort of purges or whatever it was when he turns back. That it looked very creepy and very cool. I thought awesome work on this one. But yeah, so really liked episode 5. Okay, it's gonna be a while if I talk a few minutes about each episode. But yeah, episode 6, He Can't Handle the Truth. Sam and Dean investigate a town where people can't help telling the truth. And of course, this naturally made for some funny stuff. You can just imagine, Supernatural, again, I've said it over and over, it can have these great, serious, emotional, dramatic type of moments, but it can also be the funniest show I ever fucking seen. And this is another example of that. There's a lot of funny little moments in this episode, but also played on Dean trying to find out exactly what's going on with Sam. So really good one. I'm gonna have to be a bit more brief with most of these. I just want to get some sleep tonight, And I am going to be starting season 7 soon, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Episode 7, Family Matters. Castiel helps find out what's wrong with Sam. Dean's suspicions lead to rising tension between him and the Campbells. And this is a really good one. He had Dean sort of accompany Sam and Samuel, on this assault with these demons and such. But you find out they're actually capturing these elves. They're not just trying to kill them. So it really makes you question Samuel, especially, even more. So I thought the action, everything that went on with that was pretty good. And we'll talk more about Samuel's motivations in a few episodes. But and Sam, he sort of started to question Samuel himself too, really, even through his soullessness that I found out about later. But yeah, okay. Next episode 8, which is called All Dogs Go to Heaven. This is kind of a different one, After being sent to hunt down the alpha werewolf by Crowley, Dean's investigation leads them to a skinwalker posing as a family dog. And this is kind of, again, a different one. The skinwalker that it was centered around was played by the actor who played Jim in the first season of The Walking Dead on AMC, so it's kind of fun to see him in this role. Dog was very cute at first. But then you find out it's this guy sort of just wanting to be close to this wife and her kid. So it's creepy, it's weird, but at the same time you do sort of start to feel for how attached he is to this family. And it's sad when he does get hurt when he's in the dog form and such. He also had like this alpha in the episode who is played by, or at least one of the main dogs or skinwalkers in this episode. He is played by a guy who I've seen in The 100 and Van Helsing, currently on Sci-Fi. Of course, his name being Alex Penovic. So it's kind of good to see him in here too. But yeah, good episode. Although a bit different, not one of my favorites, but it's one you'll probably remember, I think. Episode 9, Clap Your Hands If You Believe. While Sam and Dean are investigating a possible alien abduction, Dean is abducted from a crop circle. However, after he escapes, the brothers discover they aren't dealing with aliens, but fairies. Oh, this was a fucking hilarious episode, man. This one probably goes right up there with some of my favorite, more comedy type of episodes of Supernatural of all time. I laughed out loud. Like I said, Supernatural can be the best drama I've seen, but at the same time it can make me laugh more than any other show. It's like I love Shameless, and that's become more of a drama than a black comedy lately, but Supernatural makes me laugh more than Shameless, So I think that says something about how good of a show it is. And what really made this episode, though, is Jensen Ackles, and just Dean's reactions, when he's first being chased by what he thinks is this UFO, and it was just a lot of fun. And then when he actually fights one of the fairies and this white light knocking him around and coming at him, it was just a lot of fun. It looked like the actors are they always play it really well too. But yeah, really like this episode. Episode 10, Caged Heat. Really, really good episode. When Sam and Dean are captured by Meg, who is looking for Crowley's location, Sam proposes they work together. The Winchesters will locate Crowley in exchange for Meg torturing information out of him on how to get Sam's soul back before killing him. Excuse me again. A really good episode. Crowley's bass here, it provided a very good horror type of movie feel to it. I thought when you see like all these beings that have been captured and brought to Crowley, you find out that Samuel is actually working with Crowley and such. And I may as well talk about Samuel more right now. Samuel's whole motivation, that he was promised by Crowley that Mary would be brought back. Of course, how could he believe Crowley? But you do understand Samuel's probable desperation with all that. But Dean and Sam are correct when they sort of say what would Mary actually want. But it's still unfortunate that Samuel went down as dishonorable of a path as he did this season, and the end that he meets. We'll talk more about it in a few minutes. But yeah, I really like this episode and the whole sequence of them being chased through the halls by these, the hellhounds. It's pretty intense. And Meg herself. I do like Meg. Although I do wish I had kept the original actress for her that we've seen in season 1. I know her body was destroyed, so that host was dead, but I still wish that I found a way to keep her original look. We did see her in flashes a season or two before this, which was pretty fun. And I think the actress who plays her now does an alright job. When I think of Meg, I think of short blonde hair. Let me get her name. Let me show some damn respect. Yeah, Meg Masters was the. That's the character's name. What am I talking about? Okay, just give me a second, guys. Sorry about all these weird delays. Yeah, the original actress that played her was Nikki Acox. I just think she did a little bit better job with her personality than Rachel Miner does. I think Rachel Miner's fine, but I think Nikki's performance sort of sticks out a little bit more. But I still do like Megan. Found her to be actually pretty interesting this episode, and I didn't expect her to help the brothers and Castiel as much as she did. Although it sort of worked in her favor, granted, but still, she didn't have to do quite as much as she did, so I found that to be pretty interesting. And I like the whole, sort of sexual tension between her and Castiel. That was fun, and Castiel actually embraces her quite a bit. Castiel's been watching porn, so he learned a move or two. So just a whole lot of fun, man. And Meg, I kind of like her as a recurring character, actually. But yeah. So yeah, KHT, really good episode. And Meg is tortured in this, so she kind of has a stake in it as well. And Crowley, he was there's also Eve this season, but we'll talk about Eve in a few minutes. And I know it's going over 25 minutes. But it is what it is. I just love talking about Supernatural. But Crowley this season, I had thought he was going to go down more of the good path after he gave Bobby his walking back. But it turns out he's still sort of playing his own thing, of course, which is understandable, or at least expected for him. Crowley sort of being the big bad this season, I thought was good. I like the actor's performance, and how he was just trying to get into purgatory and get all these souls for this war. As Castiel is trying to do the same and such. I didn't explain it the right way at all, but and you find out that Crowley and Castiel have actually been trying to work together for quite a while, although Castiel doesn't, he clearly sees what Crowley is and, how he is, but Castiel is just so desperate for soldiers and trying to tie up this, this chaos. But I'm sure we'll talk about that more when we get a little bit further into the season. But yeah, really good episode, KHT. Appointment in Samara. Dean goes to Death to make a deal to get Sam's soul back, but Sam has other plans. And I really like this episode. I think Death is played very well. Let me see. Again, getting the actors' names. Sorry, I don't memorize them all. But yeah, Julian Richings. I think he plays it very well. He has, no offense to him, but he has this like skeletal, facial structure that sort of works for it. I'm sure he knows he looks kind of creepy, or at least it works for the role. And how much power. I like how much power they show Death actually has. Just with the atmosphere they have around him when he's on screen. I think it's really pretty effective. So I really like this episode. Again, I just need to cut the video down a little bit somehow. But yeah, I really like that one. Episode 12, Like a Virgin. While Sam tries to find out what has been happening for the 18 months he doesn't remember, he and Dean investigate the abduction of young girls. And of course, Sam does get his soul back with Death's assistance, but Death also tells of this wall in Sam's mind now that could break down at any time and cause him to remember, and maybe cause him to turn into a vegetable, or have permanent mental damage. Just how much he was tortured by Michael and Lucifer. But we have Sam with his soul back now, so it's good to see Jared Padalecki sort of show more of that heart from Sam again and such. So I welcome this, of course, although knowing full well that Sam is going to go through some shit later on because of it. But yeah, I really like that one. Episode 13, Unforgiven. An anonymous text message sends Sam and Dean to investigate disappearances in a town where Sam and Samuel worked a case a year earlier. Really good one, of course, just showing more of that ruthless, soulless side of Sam. I thought that worked really well. And how Sam actually basically almost beat a deputy sheriff to death. So that was, some good stuff. And again, I could read out the synopsis for every episode, but it would take too long. But yeah, I really like this episode. Again, I know my reviews aren't that good, I mean, I know I don't do the best job of going in-depth enough, but... Episode 14, Mannequin 3, The Reckoning. Dean and Sam investigate a ghost that seems to be able to move across country lines and possess dummies. It's kind of a creepy one. It's a different one. I like how freaked out Dean sort of is by it at first. So yeah, pretty good one. Again, it's going to go probably to almost 40 minutes by the time I'm done with this, honestly. So I gotta keep going. Episode 15, The French Mistake. Sam and Dean find themselves on the set of a TV show called Supernatural with an angelic hitman after them. Really fun episode. Again, one of the funniest episodes I've seen of the show. Not my favorite on that end, but this is another one that sort of stands out like that. I really love when Supernatural sort of pokes at their audience a little bit, or sort of breaks the fourth wall. They did that before with the conventions and such, how they use that as sort of address certain fan thoughts and stuff like that. And this one sort of did a similar thing, but in a different way. It's just funny seeing them react to their own show basically. And, how they tried to get to Castiel, but how Misha Collins thought they were just going over lines and such and different things like that. It's just a lot of fun. Even have Eric Kripke get killed. I'm not sure if that was actually him or not. It might have been. I know he still might have been a producer on the show, but I know he wasn't as beyond as he was before after Season 5, of course. But yeah, this episode was a lot of fun, and they got to actually try to act at one point, and they couldn't do it, they were just hemming it up, and it was just a really fun episode. But yeah, really liked The French Mistake. Episode 16, And Then There Were None. When Sam, Dean, and Bobby run into Rufus and the Campbells all hunting, the cause of an upsurge in supernatural activity, tensions erupt into violence. Really, really good episode. Actually, a lot more go down than I expected. And a couple episodes before this, Eve was also introduced, the mother of all. And her as a villain, I liked her quite a bit. But we didn't really get to see much of her, unfortunately, before she was just killed not too long after this, really. I was a bit disappointed with what they did with Eve this season. I thought she could have been I thought she had the potential to be a pretty cool villain. But they just didn't end up, doing much with her, and they killed her off in kind of an anticlimactic way, in my opinion. That was one of the disappointing things this season. And overall, in season I liked, probably still loved, really. But Eve, I like how she's played. I liked her, I liked her basis. I liked her premise. or just like the concept of her, the mother of all, something behind like all these monsters and stuff. It seems like she would have been able to stick around a little bit longer, right? It seems like she would have been a little bit more important long term than she was. I was expecting more to be done with her, and I think the character they created made it seem like that, but that was kind of it. But yeah, episode 16, and then there were none. Really good episode. It almost played like the Thing, with the way it was possessing people and such. I thought it was really cool. I like the paranoia of it all. Created this uneasiness throughout the episode that was already there with Samuel. But when they had Rufus along, I was worried about him right away, and we do see the death of both Samuel and Rufus in this episode, unfortunately. Rufus was a pretty fun reoccurring character, and we find out a little bit more about his relationship with Bobby, or his history with Bobby, and that Bobby did something in the past that Rufus just can't forgive him for, and that guilt just weighs on Bobby so much at the end of the episode, and I like how that is all portrayed. Rufus is killed by Samuel, who turns out to be the one possessed at the time anyway, and he is stabbed and killed, unfortunately. And Sam goes after Samuel, and Samuel tries to talk him down, and Sam isn't sure if he's still possessed at this point, but he still shoots Samuel in the head and kills him. And that's the end of the Samuel side of things for this season. How do I feel about that? It was fitting, but at the same time, again, I feel like they could have done more with Samuel. I thought they built it up quite a bit this season, and I was waiting for more of a resolution with the Dean and Samuel stuff. I didn't think they were ever going to be like great. I didn't think they were ever going to have like a great relationship or anything, but I was waiting for more of a conclusion to what they are together, as opposed to Samuel just being killed, and that's kind of it. What is what it is, I guess. But still, really good episode. I liked it quite a bit. Episode 17. As soon as the page loads. If it decides to load at some point within the next minute. Oh, now the whole thing's not loading. What do you know? But yeah, anyway, episode 17, My Heart Will Go On. The timeline is changed after Balthazar stops the Titanic from sinking, and you sort of get that moral question, of whether you like the good of the many as opposed to the good of the few. That sort of played on in a different way, really. Of course, with the Titanic, well-known tragedy in American history. You sort of get, if the Titanic doesn't sink, it sets off all these other dominoes. And so I thought that was really cool, this episode. And just like the littlest things as well. But yeah. Anyway, it's kind of hard to talk about all the details of the episode, and it's already nearing 40 minutes again. Episode 18, Frontierland. Really like this one. This is a western. Dean and Sam might have found a way to defeat Eve, but they have to go back in time and ask Samuel Colt himself to help. Of course, this is a good tie back to get concentration on the Colt again, and this is the western setting of it all. It's a lot of fun to see the brothers act it out and stuff like that. Dean getting pretty excited about it, going to Clint Eastwood mode, even going by Eastwood at one point. So he just had a lot of fun with it, but they sort of mocked his outfit choice. But yeah, really fun episode as they search for Phoenix Ashes. I liked the time we did spend with Samuel Colt in this episode, and I did him a little bit of justice, I think, from his legend. Episode 19, Mommy Dearest. Sam, Dean, Castiel, and Bobby track down Eve to a town where she is breeding new monsters. Again, I liked Eve. I thought she could have been a cool villain. I was waiting to see more of her, but she unfortunately doesn't last that long at all. She lasts this episode, then episode 20, and that's kind of it. She does take the form of Mary, which of course is a very cruel thing to do to the brothers. But yeah, I like the episode. Episode 20, The Man Who Would Be King. Castiel tells his story. We sort of get his perspective. I told you how he's working with Crowley before in this season, and I liked Misha Collins narrating some of this stuff, and it turns out he's actually talking to God, sitting somewhere trying to reach out to him somehow. And I just think his perspective on it all, his sort of how he's sort of being pulled in two different directions, how much of a bond and sort of a closeness he does feel to, Sam and Dean especially. And I thought it was all well done this season. They do see each other as family now. Castiel is another brother to Dean. So of course, Dean, Sam, Bobby, and they do feel betrayed by Castiel, but you sort of get Castiel's, again, perspective and desperation of all this. I think it was very well written. But yeah, I really liked this episode. Episode 21, Let It Bleed. A demon kidnaps Ben and Lisa to get Dean, Sam, and... Okay, that's a bit of a typo there. A demon kidnaps Ben and Lisa to get Dean, Sam, and Dean are forced to join... What? Anyway, first to join an unlikely ally to free them. And of course, this makes Dean, mistrust Castiel even more. So of course, going for his family, something he always feared, something he knew would happen. He had to distance himself. So of course, Dean still does care quite a bit about him. And Castiel apparently did not know about any of this. And Castiel wouldn't do this, and he made Crowley promise not to harm either of them. But Crowley, of course, he's not really one to trust at all. Again, sorry about all that. Excuse me. But Lisa ends up being possessed at one point. And I did think Lisa was going to die when I did see the demon actually, cut into her with a razor into her side or her stomach area. But she does survive because of Castiel healing her, which I thought was very touching and a very good gesture. But of course, Dean can completely just trust him again. And Dean makes a choice at the end of the episode to have Castiel wipe their memories of him, just to forget about him, so he can apparently be left out of it, completely. I understand why Dean would do that. He'd think so, this stuff free him of this life and any of the potential consequences of knowing him. I do kind of hope this isn't the last we see of Ben and Lisa, though. I kind of hope they're there, for a while longer. But I also understand if Dean that's sort of it, I still see there being characters I would try to go after them, with knowing their connection previously, though. But yeah, very emotional choice for Dean, for sure. We're almost done with this video. Episode 22, the season finale, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Wall comes down on Sam's head, and Dean and Bobby don't know how to help. They have to leave Sam to overcome his demons alone while the battle for heaven comes to a head. Very, very good episode. I loved the finale. I wouldn't say it was as good as some of the previous ones we've gotten. Certainly not as good as how season 5 ended. Not quite on the level of season 4 and 2's finale for me. But again, not bad, just not quite, what I would want. Or, well, no, it's not bad. It's just like a different story, so of course it would end a little bit differently. And also, we didn't really see the conclusion in this finale either. We have a story that sort of spills into season 7, which makes sense. I do like continuing stories. So we didn't really get our conclusion to it, so that kind of makes sense that I wouldn't like it as much yet. But Castiel really does kind of become God, the new God as far as we know at the end of this episode. And we see just a change in his personality. He spares the boys, but just the way he's acting, the way he speaks, you can tell something's gone into his head somehow. He kills Balthazar as well, and he also kills Raphael. It's a snap of his fingers just completely obliterates him. And sort of that bloody mess that Lucifer did to him at one point. And he lets Crowley go for some reason as well. He says he has plans for that demon. But yeah, very good episode. And I'm curious to see where it goes in season 7. I'm going to be watching at least one episode of season 7 tonight, starting it now. I'm very excited to see. Overall, I really like season 6. Not my favorite, but I think it's still on par. I think it's still, continues the trend of good Supernatural seasons, very good Supernatural seasons. I think it's still a great, phenomenal show. Still one of my favorites of all time already. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Season 6, and I will be watching Season 7, and I'll be reviewing that when I do get it done within the next couple weeks. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize for how long it was. It definitely went a bit longer than 20-25 minutes, but, I just like talking about the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it that watched. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe, and peace.